G'day humans, we have a new Star Trek Picard trailer to talk about, so let's dive right into it. First of all, if you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out, because I'm going to go in depth and you don't want any of the surprises to be spoiled. So the first big thing that stands out after a nice shot of the Picard residence in France is Picard's old comm badge. This is a nice touch, a callback to the last time we saw Picard when he was wearing the TNG movie uniform with grey shoulders. That was my favourite uniform, and this is my favourite comm badge, so it's a nice little bit of visual continuity. Those are the kinds of touches we weren't able to get in Discovery because of the visual reboot. In the next scene, Picard talks about Data's sacrifice in Nemesis. Again, nice to see them directly acknowledging the past. And the big surprise, we see all the parts in the drawer. Is that Data's body? Possibly not, since it was presumably vaporized in the explosion. B4's body? Perhaps. I'm going to go with B4 because the eyes are a little bit different. But I imagine they're going to do a similar thing to the Star Trek Countdown comic and assume that Data successfully transferred his mind into B4. This also shows that they're not going to marry themselves to the comic book, which makes sense because they always said it was non-canon. I said in a previous video that I wasn't sure bringing back Data was the best idea, because you'd have to explain a lot of things to new audiences. But it looks like they're going to tie it into the story, which is the right way to do it. In any case, it's exciting to see him. Picard's voiceover says that he really tried to fit in here at the Vineyard, but it never truly felt like home. And that's the Picard that we remember. He loves the Vineyard and he loves his family legacy, but the stars will always beckon him, like they did when he was a child. And then a young woman appears on his doorstep. "Do you know who I am?" she asks. "Everything in me says I'm safe with you." This is one of the new characters in the show. This woman immediately presents a mystery. Who is she? Why has she been drawn to Picard? Now we're starting to see some hints of the plot of the new show. This is interesting. I like stories that are built up on mysteries like this. I'm dying to know more. So Picard goes to Starfleet headquarters. We see some nice shots of buildings with plenty of people in uniform, and it seems that Picard himself is the one reaching out to Starfleet because of the young woman. This is really interesting. I was expecting we'd have a bitter old Picard who had to be dragged kicking and screaming back from retirement to help with one last adventure. But that's kind of becoming a bit of a cliche. It looks like they're flipping it here, and I like that. This is Jean-Luc Picard. When someone comes to him for help, he answers. He is concerned for her. He is a man of compassion. Despite all the hurts and ghosts that haunt him, we still see that. And then we get to see some new ships. These are modern looking effects, as would be expected. They're not overly Star Trek looking, probably not Starfleet ships, but who knows. The wide wings give me a bit of a Klingon vibe. We see what is probably a Borg drone on a biobed, with lots of holographic user interfaces around. This stuff fits in so much better here than it did on Discovery. I'm with it. And then, as a voiceover says, "Sometimes I think you've forgotten who you are." We see another special Easter egg, the Captain Picard Day banner, which we saw in the TNG episode, The Pegasus. Nice one, mate. And then we get what looks like the interior shot of a Borg cube. There are regeneration alcoves in the background, and a sign that says, "This facility has gone 5,843 days without an assimilation." Oh, that's interesting. Are they trying to free drones? So, the character who told Picard that he seems to have forgotten who he is, turns out to be a Romulan woman. "We do not forget," she adds. Now, this is the first expected tie-in to the destruction of Romulus. Nero was angry at Spock for failing to save his world from destruction. No doubt this surviving Romulan is angry at Picard for the same reason. I can't wait to learn more about Picard's involvement and how it has affected him. The tie-in to 2009 Star Trek film makes sense. Those events happened in the Prime timeline, and it was a major event that would have shaken the Alpha Quadrant. Plus, that film brought in a lot of new Star Trek fans. And then we see Picard walking around what looks like the Vasquez Rocks, which of course is a famous and often used filming location for Star Trek. It's also where they shot the death of James Kirk, another event that impacted Picard. Could he be visiting Kirk's grave, reflecting on Kirk's advice to stay in the captain's chair? Advice that Picard ignored. And then another of the new characters says, "You can't do it alone. You need help. You need protection. You need a crew." And we get a quick introduction to the faces of the new cast, Picard's new crew. What will bring these people together? I have no idea, but again, I can't wait to find out. The bloke is right. Picard may have been in full action hero mode in First Contact, but he's in his 70s now. We can't expect him to get into fistfights with bad guys at this point. He's going to need some young blood to help with that kind of stuff. We see some more futuristic technology. Again, it's not overly Star Trek-y, it's more modern sci-fi with lots of glowing holographics. And again, I'm totally up for it given the setting. Another new character brings us back to the mystery girl. She has no idea who she is. Apparently this bloke does. "She's the end of all," says a Vulcan, or a Romulan. "She's the destroyer." And then we see a damaged Borg cube. So is this mystery girl associated with Borg? Maybe. Bringing back the Borg makes sense. Picard's assimilation was probably the most impacting event of his life. Which brings us to a huge surprise. 7 of 9! Of course she'd know him. I bet the first thing Janeway did when they got back home was put 7 in touch with Picard. "This guy will understand you. He's a former Borg, just like you." I noticed immediately that 7 seems much more human than the last time we saw her, which makes total sense. Over the course of the 4 years we saw her on Voyager, we saw her become more human in her speech, in her emotions. But it's been around 20 years now. I'd expect her to be pretty much fully human at this point. I wonder if she still goes by the name 7, or if she's using her human name, Annika Hansen. We see the bridge of the ship with many of our new characters on board, which makes me think the crew is already together. Maybe Picard hires them, like mercenaries. And then we see a Borg drone having implants removed. So I'm thinking Starfleet have captured the damaged Borg and are slowly rehabilitating all the drones. I wonder if they'll respond in the same way that 7 first did. And that awesome moment when Picard says, "Engage." Nice one. All I need now is a make it so, and maybe a tea Earl Grey hot. And that last little scene shows Picard playing cards, probably poker, with Data, proving that Brent Spiner himself is returning, and we'll see more than just mechanical body parts in a drawer. This trailer gives a very nice blend of the old and the new. The old stuff is exciting, and I screamed more than once while watching it. But the new stuff is equally compelling, and that's important. We need to be drawn to this show for more than just the nostalgic callbacks. The plot and the new characters need to be as exciting as the old. And I think this will be the case. I'm just as excited to learn about this mystery girl as I am to see Data and 7 come back. Now, I hear that Jonathan Del Arco also appeared in this trailer as Hugh, the drone from the episodes I, Borg and Descent. I've watched this trailer many times, and I haven't spotted him. Was he the drone having his implants removed? Maybe. Honestly, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how he factors into the story. All in all, this trailer has me very, very excited to see the show. A mystery that takes Picard back into space, giving us that essential Trek sense of wonder, and some callbacks from old friends that seem to be well done and important to the story. We also know that Picard has a dog in the show, and that its name is Number 1. Perfect. Sir Patrick Stewart is a big dog lover, and he actually fosters dogs. But this makes a lot of sense to me in universe. Picard could use a little animal companionship alone in that big vineyard. His family are all dead, so who else is he going to talk to? We've also heard that both Jonathan Frakes Riker and Marina Sirtis's Troy are going to appear at some point. That's a good chunk of the former TNG cast. My only disappointment here is that they've told us so much up front. I would have preferred that they'd held back Riker and Troy as a surprise. Maybe they're still surprises that they haven't revealed yet. I don't know. Akiva Goldsman has said during a Comic-Con panel that they pointedly weren't making a TNG sequel. It's slower, more lyrical, more character-focused. And that sounds good to me. We still don't have a release date, but we've been told it won't air until 2020. Which is a shame, because we're expecting it in December of this year. Still, the show looks good, and I'm willing to wait for a good show. If you can't tell, I am seriously pumped for Star Trek Picard. This trailer is fantastic, and it fills me with hope. Bring it on. Make it so. I'm going to keep making Star Trek videos. There's been some news around the Star Trek Lower Decks and Discovery Season 3, but I also talk about other geeky stuff like sci-fi and fantasy books, and my own journey as a sci-fi author. So if you want to geek out with me, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. And let's enjoy the ride together. It's a fantastic time to be a nerd.